I'm State Senator Andre Jacque from the greater Green Bay area, but I go all the way up through the tip of Door County, down towards Manitowoc, back to the Fox Valley, and back up through Green Bay. So good chunk of northeast Wisconsin. I have a lot of different urban, rural, suburban areas in my district. And one thing, when Chris asked me to just speak a little bit, I'm always happy to fill in with my experiences in government, trying to support private property rights and really how people are kind of up against it with the bureaucracy. So one thing that a lot of people might not know about me is before I ran for the legislature, at one point I worked for the city of Green Bay, got to see a number of policies as well as the Brown County grant writer. And I think I'm going to hearken immediately, obviously, just a horrible situation that we just saw yesterday in Menasha, Greater Appleton area, and of course what was experienced in this area not that long ago. And immediately my mind is taken back to something Rahm Emanuel said. How many of you are familiar with Rahm Emanuel? You might think of what I'm going to say. Is probably his most famous quote: "Never let a severe crisis go to waste." Unfortunately, when lives are destroyed, when you're rebuilding from devastation, again, people are just trying to get back to where they were, get back to some sense of normalcy. Unfortunately, there is a kind of professional bureaucracy that sees it as an opportunity to remake the community in the way they want things to be. We see this with socialism as well. But that is unfortunately what happens all too frequently. The exact same statutes that somebody might point to justify why saying you can't do something, any number of other people with the exact same authority are going to come to a different conclusion. And it's all about what conclusion do they want to come to sometimes. Now, one of the things that I did in the legislature was allowing for the opt-out of county in, Dane County, where you basically had the Dane County Board refusing to ever allow for any of the outlying towns to opt out of county zoning. The only way that you could do that is if there was a comprehensive rewrite. And the only way that something would be considered a comprehensive rewrite of the zoning code was if the Dane County Board said that it was a comprehensive rewrite of the zoning code. So you had had 300 plus revisions of the zoning code that never were considered comprehensive. And as a result, for decades, there was never the opportunity for towns to be able to make their own planning decisions. Ultimately, we were able to first change it for Dane County. Later, there's a statewide option, and I've heard about some of the same issues up in Door County and other parts of the district. Now, there are many areas in my district where every town has town zoning as well, and that is something that if you are willing to. Not everybody has to be an expert, with an urban planning degree, but you do have to have people at the local government level that are willing to serve on the zoning board, to be able to set your own ordinances, make your own decisions. Somebody wants a variance, that sort of thing. But that's something that I think I always suggest. If people feel that they are not being served, and this is why local government elections are so important, then change the people that are making those decisions. And hopefully, change the structures that will enable you to make those decisions at the most local level. So, I have fought before with zoning administrators at the city level. I have seen how things have been applied unevenly. So I know there's been a lot of discussion about the 50% rule. Well, I can tell you that in the city of Green Bay, at one point there were multiple adult entertainment establishments. Now there's only one. But that one, when it was operating as the Bamboo Room, had a structure fire. Now, they basically gutted the entire inside of the building. There's no doubt that they were over 50% of the costs. And the city had every right, if it wanted to be able to eliminate an eyesore that frankly kept other development from being attracted to the city's east side. But they didn't, because the developer happened to have a daughter who was a Chicago lawyer who came up and scared the bejesus out of the city council. And so the Bamboo Room became the Oval Office, and if you've ever driven up and down 41 near Green Bay, you can see they're alive and well and still have their liquor license, and never should have been the case. But any number of other regular folks that, you know, have had a serious damage to their property and just want to rebuild, I said that's not an option for you anymore. And the options that they make available to you basically guarantee that that land is going to have a completely different use, a use that, you know, the city is pushing towards. So, you know, again, just one of the grievances that I've had over the years. I know, you know, Chris and I talked just a little bit about NR 116, and this comes up as well. I mean, I've helped local governments with their ordinances in the past, and yes, there's, you know, certain authority that's delegated from the EPA to the DNR, and, you know, from the DNR then to the local level. But I guess what I would say is, you know, one of the words that we hear quite a bit of in Madison is discretion. And it's basically, you know, I like to think of it as common sense, right? You know, just because you can, you know, do something, you know, arrest somebody for jaywalking or whatever when there's nobody on the road, you know, that's something that is supposed to actually be considered by the courts. And frankly, I mean, when you have any disputes, that's your recourse as a citizen as well, is to go through the circuit courts and to make your case there as well once you have gone through all of the established appeals processes at the local level. And I know that can be a lot of hoops to jump through. But if you read the enforcement section of NR 116, it's not going to be necessarily the way that a local code administrator is going to portray it. You're going to see a lot of maze. You're going to see a lot of, you know, the local government, the municipality may request, or that the state is obligated to assist when requested, that sort of thing. So things that seem not like mandates are essential can be portrayed at the local level as, oh, our hands are tied, we're being forced to do this by, you know, pointing at whoever they want to vote. And I guess what I would say is, I don't think that you know, that assumption that what's the word I'm looking for? That deference is inherently earned in this case. So, yeah, I don't have any magic words here, and I'm obviously limited in what I can do as a state official, especially as one leaving office at the end of the year. Again, there are options for towns, but I mean, I think, as you know, from what I understand, there are local governments right now that are again applying some of the same rules in a different fashion, and obviously, you know, that well, that has long impacted why a business might choose to locate here rather than there, why a person might choose to live in one political subdivision versus another. I mean, certainly we see how taxing decisions are made at a local level. It impacts somebody's willingness to live in a community. So, you know, I think zoning decisions can, you know, be in that same discussion. But I would just say that, you know, personnel is policy. And, you know, one of the biggest things that I've found in the legislature is that, you know, we have entire industries that are hanging on the thread of an interpretation in a gray area by a DNR bureaucrat that, frankly, could choose to go completely opposite from what their predecessor did. And we've seen that a lot with kids coming out of Stevens Point. Somebody retires, and all of a sudden, something that's been done for decades, oh, we can't do this anymore. I can remember one of the bills that I had to do for allowing for ATV routes in towns, if that was the decision of the town. We had a new ward that moved in. New ward in northeast Wisconsin. He told the town of Holland, which had made a resolution that, well, we want every town road to be an allowable ATV route. Ward said that's fine. You got to put up a sign every quarter mile, even on dead end roads. So instead of just signing all the entrances to the town, which is what a reasonable person would think, that certainly has been the case in pretty much everywhere else in the state. And even this guy's supervisor agreed, yeah, that's not right. But he wasn't going to overrule him, because that's not the way the DNR works. Unfortunately, here you're kind of working with the DNR. They have what's called a very horizontal structure and accountability, which is basically nobody overrules anybody else. They each have their own principalities and fiefdoms, and I've come across it on other issues as well. And very frustrating, very frustrating. We actually did have to write a law to specify so that that interpretation did not win the day, and that you could simply sign where there was a change in whether or not something was an ATV route or not. So I'm actually running a little bit ahead of time. Again, like I said, I apologize. I'm going to have to duck out here for another call and then try to come back. But maybe if I could just try to answer any questions right now. And again, knowing that there's a good chance I'm not going to know the specific answer, I'm just here because anytime somebody's calling out for support for private property rights and maybe a little bit of hope, I can just say, you can't fight City Hall. It's tough, but you can do it. Questions? Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if you're aware of it, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but there's something that I've learned with part of my hurdles with planning and zoning, at least in Waupaca County, and I believe this is across the state, so correct me if you know. But the planning and zoning office has I don't know if it's an ordinance or what it is, but basically it states that they can't be held responsible for their errors. So when they themselves screw up, the burden still falls back on us. To me, that's something that has to get changed on a state level.
Sure.
And I've seen it happen time and time again, where an inspector will come out or a county official will come out, make a decision, and then a different one come out and make an opposite decision, and then have the homeowner, property owner, is the one that has to pay the penalty.
Sure.
Do you know anything about that?
I mean, again, some of this is going to be able to be fixed if it's adjudicated by a just judge. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had issues before with the DNR where somebody from the DNR will tell somebody, oh yeah, you can do this and this is how you do it. And somebody else from the DNR will say, yeah, no, you couldn't. Sorry, I'm not going to abide by what they put in writing that you did in good faith, and we're going to fine you X, Y, Z, and make you tear it down. Whatever. I mean, we've in some cases been able to use the fact that there was the actual instruction from the agency to get the department to be more reasonable. But yeah, I mean, local government is going to try to limit their liability. Now, I will say, local governments are notoriously risk averse. They don't enjoy spending the legal fees. So often a threat of a lawsuit.
Our county doesn't have an issue with that.
Think a little bit. Well, okay. So that's again going to vary by area. But it's just like I don't know how many contracts you might see where the fine print is. I mean, yeah, there are some things that are dumb, like I'm not going to sue because I accidentally ingest some shampoo, and that might not be good for me. But there also are any number of things that make you kind of unreasonably waive your right to liability, but whether or not that holds up in court, I mean, I guess what the standard typically is the intentionality of the mistake. So if it's something that you do wrong, knowing that you are doing it wrong, and you are informed of that fact, it's a little bit more difficult for them to claim otherwise.
Well, I can speak directly to cases that I've spent over $100,000 personally, and knowing that corporate counsel has hired outside counsel spending about the same in our county, that it was directly an error from Ryan Brown, the administrator, or our county planning and zoning, where ultimately 6 months later I received a notification that I needed to provide a survey showing that my structures were outside of their setback. And when I went and talked to them about that, they said, well, we have, because it was a DOT issue, and they said, we have one thing that's more restrictive, and it's the setback has to be 10 feet, and we don't know that you're 10 feet. And I said, okay, well, I went over all of this, you say you have one ordinance, nobody instructed that to me. Then when we went through the planning and zoning department ordinances, there was actually an ordinance that stated all permitted signs, which my structures were signs, are exempt from right-of-way setback. Later, throughout my court case, they just removed it from the ordinance. And then we were told that was just an old ordinance that they forgot to remove.
Well, and that's, see, again,
And so that's a complete error on their part.
Yeah, no, that's.
And I was the only burden that had paid, other than the taxpayers that had to pay.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, when you see things happen at the local level, even say a violation of Robert's rules, that's gonna stand unless it's challenged. Just like, you can have unconstitutional
Yeah, but how do you
statutes or ordinances that will stand again unless somebody challenges them. So,
how do you challenge that when you go to court and their judges in their courthouse tell you that that's over? So that's something else that I think that needs to be changed. If we're the public and we are going to our municipalities and we're in disposition with them, I feel it needs to be removed from their county to be tried or to go to court, because they all sit in the same lunchroom.
Yeah. Well, now, I think
They know the other counties, they know.
there is.
Well, but at least it's a little bit something.
Yeah, there is an ability, I think, still to request a judicial substitution in those situations. So, I mean, and again, people don't want to necessarily do that because, that might be signaling that you don't think you're going to get a fair hearing in front of a judge that you might need to see again on something else. I guess I understand that. There's no perfect, but I will say I have, I just had another scenario. I was being told about a limit on the size of yard signs, or 4x8s or whatever in a particular municipality. And, they were, I think, really kind of unfairly trying to enforce it just on me. And I pointed out the Supreme Court decision that said clearly that the sign ordinance is unconstitutional, and you can't regulate, because what they're doing is they were regulating political signs versus another type of sign. Like if you were advertising for your lawn mowing service, or making it some other public statement. Now they ultimately chose to say, okay, we're not going to enforce our ordinance, but they certainly were going to try to up until and in some cases they will go ahead and just well, I mean, they can always change their mind and decide to enforce something later that they said they weren't going to. I don't know. I don't want to go too far down that, but yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. In your opinion, would there be the political climate in Madison, maybe even bipartisan, to amend NR 116 to say you can't go back more than, say, 10 years on improvements in the floodplain to count that towards the 50%? There's many states that have that. I understand Florida, 10-year limit. You can't go back more than 10 years. We have a case in our floodplain here in Muckwater where they've gone back to 1992 for a remodeling that was over the 50% and approved by the then zoning administrator, who is more friendly, and nothing said about 50%, and now somebody with $2,000 worth of damage can't fix the flood damage because of going back to 1992. Would there be the political climate for that, and would it be somewhat bipartisan to recognize this is wrong?
I don't know that it would be bipartisan. That's a great question. So, when you're talking about administrative rules, we used to, and of course we've tried to clean up some rules, but well, now it's currently, as it stands, I mean, obviously Tony Evers will no longer be governor, but because of the state Supreme Court, they have basically neutered the Joint Committee for Review of Administrative Rules. So now, essentially, the legislature has no check on the power of the governor and his administration to rewrite its rules however they want on anything. And in fact, even to write rules on things that there was never any rulemaking authority that was given in the legislation. They can do just about anything they want, actually, because we have a state Supreme Court that doesn't really follow the rule of law. I mean, I don't know how much I want to get into belaboring that point, but obviously I have some significant disagreements with Rebecca Dallin, Chris Taylor, Dan Protasewicz, still there. It's anyways. And that's the thing is that, you can have something that objectively you believe a judge could only rule one way, and a judge who is committed to slanting it the other way can still have an alternate view. But I was actually the author of the legislation to rein in rules. Actually prohibit the deference given to guidance documents as if they were, had the force of law. If some of you are familiar with something called the Chevron decision at the federal level, it was basically doing at the federal level what we had done at the state level before it got nuked by the state Supreme Court. But there's also something that agencies can do, which is called sue and settle, which is basically come up with an agreement favorable to the Democratic administration, and that is rubber stamped in Dane County Circuit Court, gets put into the statutes as a case reference, and it never ever came through the legislature. I'll give you an example. Environmental group wants to give broad new powers to the administration. They talk it over with, used to be Governor Doyle. Doyle with his administration would basically say, yeah, it seems like that might be unsettled. You might want to sue us on that. And then the administration would say, gee, I think you're right. I think we've had this power all along. We've never used it. We'll put it in an administrative rule. We just need this Dane County Circuit Court judge to sign off. And sure enough, that's how we've gotten to some of the changes that are in state law. I mean, you look at when we had, for instance, the phosphorus regulations. Those phosphorus regulations weren't what was absolutely required in the state of Wisconsin. They were what the state of Wisconsin voluntarily agreed to. That put us on the cutting edge nationally. And that cutting edge cost ratepayers a lot of money. I mean, there was a brand new treatment facility in Wrightstown that said, we're going to be how many million just to try to squeeze the blood out of a turnip to, lower these phosphorus regulations, and it's not where the phosphorus was even coming from. So what I'm saying is I've got a lot of grievances with government, and I look forward to my retirement to raising my kids.
So we should all just quit paying our taxes and do stuff the way we want to do it.
Well,
because obviously there's no consistency.
Unless you have the sheriff on your side, you're going to have some issues.
There's no consistency from one town to another. Why? I don't understand why a county statute doesn't overrule the town or the village. So, okay, if you're on this side of the road in New London, you could do this. If you're on that side, oh no, now you gotta deal with these rules. If you're in Fremont on this side of the town, you
Because,
can do this.
because
If you're
those
on-
townships have pulled out of the zoning, so they basically have taken the control back.
Everybody's just doing their own willy-nilly,
Except for
whatever they wanna
Waupaca
do.
County.
Well, no, in Waupaca County even, I mean Fremont itself,
Well,
right?
Waupaca
So-
County's running some of these homes.
I'll touch
They're
base
telling
on
them what they're doing.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, what's
I
set,
might have time for one more before I.
what set of regulations are we fighting against or, pushing against, or they're pushing against us? Is it the DNR, is it Waupaca County, is it the state of Wisconsin, is it the city of New London? I'm a little bit outside of New London, so I'm not aware of everything that's, being.
Again, I'm not an attorney, so anything I'm saying here tonight does not constitute legal advice. I'm required to give that disclaimer. What I would,
Who's the big bully?
what I would say though, the big bully is the person. In terms of the ability for, so, they talk about,
Who's interpreting the law?
a one-armed economist or because they can't say on the other hand. But so many attorneys will tell you, they are basically primed to argue either side of any issue, depending on who's signing that check for them. So, I mean, it's something where, again, there's discretion that is given to the official based on, you can read the exact same, we could all read out loud the exact same words. In fact, I might do that when I come back. I've got it here on my phone, the enforcement section, and we could have a good debate on what that actually means. But the reality is that, what again, one person says means you have to, prohibit redevelopment. Another could say, yeah, there should be no problem at all with this. And I know we didn't even get into like federal takings.
Can I add something to that? Because I've been studying who the bullies are. What's, the county zoning enforcement people are the people that are telling you can't go back into your house, you can't fix your house. And they're blaming it on FEMA and they're blaming it on the DNR, but I've studied the whole thing. The FEMA is way easier to deal with on this than the county. The DNR is harder to deal with, but they're still easier to deal with than the county. The cities and villages in our county do their own zoning and they do their own floodplain management. And they are treating it completely different. We're not seeing this kind of bullying. So in our case, Waupaca County, I don't know what's happening in Allegheny or Waupaca, but Waupaca County, the bully is Ryan Brown, and he has very little checks and balances because he has 27 bosses, which is the board, and they're not on the same page, so he can do what he wants, and he's the guy doing it.
And this might have been said earlier, but there's somebody that is saying that you can't do something. The more you document, the more that you can have an actual discussion on it, because somebody is always going to point that finger in another direction. And, sometimes if somebody says, oh, well, again, somebody says, FEMA says I can't do it. And you talk to FEMA and says, well, no, we didn't say that. It's going to be up to, their interpretation of, this code, this statute. And then, well, are you the one saying that they can't do it? Well, no, it wasn't on. And pretty soon you'll find that nobody actually takes responsibility for why something can't happen. But there's still somebody at the initial point that said, well, it couldn't happen because everybody else here told me that I could.
There's still somebody that signs that order that says, you gotta tear down your house because you no longer meet the zoning rules.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, it's just like, again, with legislation, it's always, you keep pushing until you reach opposition, and then you recalibrate. So, I apologize, I'm gonna try to.
Hold your questions for me, he's gonna be back if you got
I'll be in the
more
parking lot, I
questions.
swear I won't
So
be.
he's coming back, so we'll hold it until then.
Okay, a question for Chris.
Yeah.
Is Ryan Braun elected or appointed?
He's appointed by the county board, by the county board chairman, and then has to be his appointment has to be approved by the full board by majority. He hired on 8 years ago, and that's when things went way more strict than they are now. Right now, I think what we want to do, hold your question, because we're going to get Joel up here in a bit to tell you what's going on with the county board. But first, I want to get Norma Conrad up here, because Norma is the poster lady for how we got started fighting this stuff. In terms of what happened with her and her husband John's home. Norma, you had flood damage in the April flood. Tell us about what was damaged and how much it cost.
Our crawl space got flooded, and we had a lot of junk on it, but our, our sump pump and the ductwork and, the wrapping of it was all drenched, and we got it cleaned out. We had professional cleaners come in, and they cleaned it all out, and then we had a water softener. We had to do that, and what is that? We did the sump pump, That's all we had done. When we were out, when they were taking everything out into our yard, that's when Candace, that's from the Waupaca, came in. I didn't know who she was, and then somebody said the other guy was FEMA. And then they came and wanted to know what our damages were, and well, my husband said, well, the crawl space was flooded. And well, anyway, she said, well, we thought they were going to help us because our insurances wouldn't pay, so we said, okay, so just let us know what was damaged, and we'll send you papers. And well, they sent papers, and she wanted it notarized as to what it was. And so my husband did that, and she sent the papers, I think about a week or 2 late after we got everything done. And so then we got what we had damaged notarized and sent it to her. Then also we get a letter back and said that we had to get a land permit.
Land use.
Yeah, land use permit. And I said, for what? And I said, we don't need a permit to get a pump in there and that. What was that all about? So anyways, my husband went to talk to her. What do we need a land permit for? And so she made him sign it. And then after he signed it, they sent us a paper saying, no, you're denied, and you got 3 options. You need to either tear your house down, move it, or get a what do you call it? Not a contract.
Raise it.
Something to raise it up. An engineer. Get an engineer in there and have it raised up. Otherwise, we were going to get, what do you call it?
Yeah.
We're going to get fined.
And so altogether, you had maybe what, $17,000 worth of corrections?
Well, actually, less than that. But the highest cost was having the professional cleaners come in. And then with that, and what we did, it probably was $16,000 altogether. But when we checked with FEMA on that, having your house professionally cleaned and that was omitted.
So for basically $7,000. So then they denied, and they said you were in violation of the 50% rule. How did they get to 50% from $7,000 in a home that is assessed as if it's worth $140,000? How did they get to that?
I had no idea, because I actually, when they said our house was valued at $139,000 or something like that, that was their value. But when I looked it up, the market value was over $2,200.
How did they get to over 50%?
When we added the upper floor in 2006, we added
20 years ago.
20 years ago. And then they started adding that into it. And I'm thinking, these people are crazy. What is this?
Back in 2006, Did they ever say, oh, this is using up your 50% rule, so you better not ever get a flood? They just gave you a permit for it, right? Yep. Okay, so the Norma and several other people have filed for appeals to what's called the Board of Adjustments, County Board of Adjustments. And there's another fellow here, I don't know if he wants me to identify him, but he's got an attorney, he's fighting it too, and I applaud him. Lives down the road from Norma, and there's 3 other people that either have or will be filing that, but there's 20 people affected in the flood zone that are regulated by the county. The people in New London, which are far more, they're not affected by this because they have not been told they have to pull permits, and they haven't been having all these crazy things added to their 50%. So Norma and John's is the very first case is coming up on the 4th of August at Waupaca at the Tech. The county is running that. It's an open hearing. Anybody that wants to come can come and hear it, and anybody who wants to come can, be in support of them, and it will help because we don't know these people on the board.
What time?
It's at 9:30 a.m. and they're the first one. Quick
You
question.
said August 4th, it's August 6th.
No, it's for.
No, it's
Oh, it's
August
the
4th.
4th?
August 4th at 9:30 a.m.
Oh.
is a hearing before the Board of Adjustments. There's
Oh.
another meeting on the 6th,
The
but that's a
planning and
different.
zoning is the 6th.
Yeah.
Can you put that out in an email?
I will after this meeting, but save your questions because we're going to have lots of time for questions. But I want to, Ryan Brown is the guy we got to get removed, and the Conrads and other people have been collecting signatures to ask the county board to remove them. The petitions are over there. Take one with you and get it back to me. This isn't being done by any organization. It's me and my wife that coordinated that because we think he should go. And even if he doesn't go, maybe the board will start overseeing him rather than letting him do what he wants. So that is very important. Also, the people that are doing hearings, hold your questions for now but people that are doing hearings, we're doing, it's $500 to just non-refundable fee to get a hearing. So some people, and they're being told by the county, it's no good to appeal, you're going to lose. So some people have missed their deadlines and they haven't done it. But anybody who is appealing, we've been telling people, we'll help you pay for this. We're going to have a brat fry this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 at Festival. All the proceeds from that are going to go to spread whoever by then is either appealing or has appealed or is going to appeal right away. We'll split that between those people unless they don't want the funds. But we don't want people to not appeal because of the $500. Because if you don't appeal, we've been told by the legal community, you might not be able to sue. The judge will throw it out because you didn't exhaust your administrative appeal. So anybody here that, you got 30 days from when they send you a letter or they send you a denial to get that in. And I can help you fill out the appeal. Peter Berninger, who is really good on legal stuff and has been fighting for election integrity, he is helping. He's helped the Conrads prepare their case before the review, that we are. I'm encouraging people. You need to fight back on this. This is your home. This is your property. If this was Canada, you probably wouldn't have the right to keep your property. If this was China, you definitely wouldn't have the right. But in America, we have that right. It's called the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and it's called the 13th, I think, 13th article of the Wisconsin Constitution. It says the government shall not take private property for public use without just compensation. So, yeah, they can make you raise your house, but they have to pay for it to do that. So that is in, we're going to get a few more announcements, and we're going to bring Joel up here to talk about what's going on in the county. I apologize that we have to move along, but your question, there will be plenty of time for questions, so save your questions. Yeah.
No, we do want to, it's very important that good people stand up during this time. And so like people like you all here that are doing these things, that hold people accountable. And we still have a system of government, even though they make it difficult, that we can get these things overturned. We've seen it happen in the past. But I didn't see, but is there any candidates out here? What, you want to come up and talk to me?
Hello, everyone. My name's Hava. I work for Senator Rachel Cabral-Guevara, so she's the legislator for this area right now, and then she is going to be running again for the next term, too. We're trying to set up a meeting with Ryan Brown here in the next few weeks and kind of bring some of this stuff before him so that we can hopefully help you. So if you have anything weird that has happened or anything like that, feel free to come and talk to me after this meeting, and I can give you my contact information and we can have a conversation about it. Because when we go and talk to Ryan, we want to have actual evidence that we can bring up and things like that. Because we really want to be able to help you. If any other issues, even if it's not regarding flooding or anything, have happened, let me know and feel free to come and talk to me about it too. I will try to stick around for a while afterwards. Rachel's still representing you right now, and so she's still trying to work hard for that. So if there's anybody who wants to set up a meeting with her or anything, we do have some time that we're specifically dedicating to that in September. And then we also are really trying to get stuff done so that you guys don't end up being screwed. So let me know.
Thank you. I do want to bring up Ross for a quick announcement.
Thank you. I feel like I'm right in the middle of a hornet's nest, but if you feel like you need protection for your home, those of us that still have them, I offer concealed carry classes. We have 3 more for the year. August 15th, September 12th, and October 3rd. We teach at Bean City Bar and Grill, and then we have the shooting at the New London Fish and Game Club. If you sign up, I have flyers over there. If you sign up for any of these classes, if you mention the Tea Party, I'll give you the $80 class for $50. That's the cheapest I've ever offered. So I work at 4Imprint part-time and semi-retired, and they get it for $60, you get it for $50. So that's it.
So that would be promo code RAP. Wolf River Patriots. I think that's really what we didn't have a whole lot other than the brat fry and that's I'm still on announcements.
Oh yeah, the brat fry. If you want to help us in the brat fry, we have a sign-up sheet for different 2-hour shifts.
And Mike's holding it up over here.
You want a reminder of where it is? And come have a good time with us.
It looks like they have a few of them, but you can snap a picture of it on your way out so you can remind you that it's happening this Saturday. So
We have fun.
All right, then that would bring us to Joel, if you want to come up and say a few words.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Before we get started, is Kenny Yeager in the room? Kenny Yeager, you guys know Ken Yeager? He's got, the hook. Pete Vasquez, are you in the room? County board member, no. Darla Meshke, you in the room? Stand up so everybody sees you. She represents part of New London here. She's here, so thank you for coming.
District 25.
Oh, Lee, I didn't see you there. Lee Trainer, stand up.
Oh, yeah, we was here too.
You can hit me afterwards. Sorry, Lee. She represents the city of Waupaca, Main Street. That's her district. So she's in a tough area. But we have a strong conservative representing downtown Waupaca, and I absolutely love it. So it's awesome. Anyways, the reason I brought that up, folks, okay, myself, I represent District 20. I represent the village of Fremont, the town of Waupaca, the town of Fremont, that's my area, and town of Lind. So I'm down in that area. And I have people affected in my district that live on the river, Gills Landing. There's some down in the town of Fremont. But where's Kenny Yeager? He's got a lot of people in Muckwa. Where is Pete Vasquez, Caledonia? Not here. These people are not good people. They're evil. They do not stick up for their constituents. I tried to find people to run against them. Elections have consequences, folks. And there's 20, just to give you guys a little makeup of the county board, there's 27 reps through the county, okay? We all represent the district. 27, okay? I was able to, with the help of others, Linda, the Republican Party, we were able to flip 10 districts this year, okay? But if you do the math, 27, that's not 50%, correct? We need more people on that board to flip it. We're close. We only need probably 6 more people to flip it. So we need someone to run against Kenny Yeager. We need someone to run against Pete Vasquez, and I tried so hard, but I cannot find anybody. Okay? Fred Zog. Where's Fred Zog? He's not here either. Another person we need to find somebody to run against. These are folks that we need to get out because they do not represent you or stick up for you. Okay? Anyways, so there's 27 people on the board. Let me give you a little bit of the structure of how the county board works. Then what we do is we have all these department heads, minus the sheriff, minus the clerk, because those are all elected positions. Our county does not have a county administrator. It does not have a county executive. Okay? So what that means is the people running the county basically is the county board. Okay? We control who represents each department. Planning and zoning, the head person, we are in charge of that, the county board. IT department, we're in charge. Land and water, you're in charge. Okay, the sheriff we're not, because that's an elected position in our county. So let me give you a little story that's happened over the last week, 2 weeks. Corporate counsel, she got nominated by Tony Evers, right, for judge. So she's our new judge that replaced Judge Huber. So corporate counsel position became open. That's a department head, which the county board would be in charge of, right? So we had an interim corporate counsel person. Her name's Angela, and she was an interim person. She was not full-time. All of a sudden, a week or so ago, I'm listening to some of the committee meetings, and all of a sudden, corporate counsel. So this county board isn't even they're not even abiding by state law. State law says we hire those people and fire. We just fired the IT person. Okay? The county board never approved it. Some person in the county just went and did it. This is how this county is being run. It is a shit show. And I'm telling you, it is a total shit show. And I don't want to swear, but it is a shit show. And I am one of the only ones, Darla, myself, Jeremy Shoki, Rob Ferg, there's a handful of us. Barry Bartz is a great patriot up in Clintonville, Barry he owns. He represents Union. We're actually asking questions now at the county board, okay? And trust me, when you start asking questions, they don't like you. You're not part of the in crowd, they hate you, you're a bad person, and they talk evil about you. So it's great that we have people now starting to ask questions, okay? So the county board then breaks down into committees. Okay, so there's an HR committee, there's a planning and zoning committee, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Planning and zoning committee. Does anybody know who the chairman of, or the chairperson of the county board is? Please raise your hand. Okay, Mark. So we have 3 people, I mean you should, Darrell. But you take, there's 40, 50 of us in here, and 4 people know who the county chairman is. That's not good, folks. We gotta start paying attention what's going on. It's Jim Nygaard. Does anybody know Jim Nygaard? He lives in the township of Scandinavia, okay? This guy is out of his league. In fact, when we voted him in, he lives in Florida in the winter, and that's who's running our county. He's the county chair. And we brought it up when we did the election, and guess what? Oh, that's okay. That's okay. He can run the county from Florida. It's a total joke. But Jim Nygaard is chair of the zoning committee, okay? He's the guy. He could put a stop to this tomorrow. He could put a stop to this tomorrow. He could go up to Ryan Brown and say, you know what? You're way overstepping your boundaries here. This is how we're going to do this. I represent the village of Fremont and the township of Fremont, okay? The village of Fremont is not under county zoning. We had just as much flooding down in the village of Fremont as Makwa and town of Waupaca. And guess what? Not one complaint. Because it's how you interpret the rules, okay? It's how you interpret them. And the village of Fremont and the township of Fremont, who's not under county zoning, they interpret a little bit different, and they want to work with the people, okay? So like, Mrs. Conrad back there, they could have knocked on the door and said, hey, what do you want to do with this property, right? And you would have said, I just want to fix it up, that's all I want to do. Get back in the house, make it livable, make it safe, right? All the zoning department would have to do is say, you know what, we'll work with you, we just got to make sure your assessments are under 50%. You know, no big deal, let's get some quotes that make it under 50%, problem solved. It's called common sense. It's common sense. But no, the problem is you got a zoning department, Ryan Brown, who has a political agenda. Okay, he has a political agenda. He doesn't want houses on the river. He wants to get rid of all of them. They're polluting the river or whatever. That's what it comes down to. It's a political agenda. Okay? So, who else is on the zoning committee? Jacque from Manawa. She's actually a good patriot. She's one of the good ones on there. Okay? The other ones, just yes men. And Jim Nygaard will not stand up to Ryan Brown, will not do anything. So this is where we sit. They'd rather hurt the 20 people that are being affected and let Ryan Brown run free. It's a really sad situation. Really sad situation. So, now let's talk about the next structure in the planning and zoning. It's the Board of Adjustments, which you will be going to on August 4th. What is the Board of Adjustments? Does anybody know exactly how that works? Okay. They're committee members, this committee, they're basically made up of citizens. They're appointed by the chairman of the county, okay? And every 2 years, there's so many, it rotates. And these are appointed by the chair of the county and approved by the county board. Last meeting, a week ago, there were 2 reappointments to the board, okay, to the Board of Adjustments. So I get the agenda, I get it ahead of time, we do my research, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I know this one person, I don't know this other person, I know who they are. But I want to just call one of them and just see how this all worked. Okay, this is supposed to be an independent board, okay? You understand independent? I mean, they should have no contact with the zoning department because when she comes in next week on Tuesday, she's assuming that this board sitting up here, they don't have a tie to the zoning department, right? And these are supposed to be appointed by the chair. So I call one of the Michelle Street, that's who it was, I can say it, she's on the board. I call her, and I go to her, I said, did Jim Nygaard call you to see if you wanted to be reappointed to this? Oh, who's Jim Nygaard? Who's Jim Nygaard? I said, who called you? Ryan Brown did. So, I don't even believe you lost before you even started. I hate to say it. It's not even a fair board. It's not even fair. Art Richardson's been on there for years. He was the other one. At the county board, myself raised the question right in front of everybody. I said, Jim, you did not call them. Well, they just want to get reappointed. It doesn't matter. It's an independent board. No, it's not. It's not an independent board. Ryan Brown has his cronies on that Board of Adjustments. So anybody that tries to sneak something through, you probably would agree with me. It says rubber stamp for Ryan Brown. I hope I'm wrong. Hope they prove me wrong. Hope they prove me wrong. And I am willing to testify in the court of law if you guys want, if Michelle's on there, and she makes a decision that goes against you guys, I will definitely testify in the court of law that she told me that Ryan Brown asked her to be on there. So, so elections have consequences, folks, and we need to switch the board, because this would all be solved. All be solved. If I was a chair of the planning and zoning, I would have a serious conversation, and they didn't listen to me. I would go to the board and say, hey, we're firing you. I want to make a motion at our next meeting to fire Ryan Brown. I could. And she seconds it.
I'll second.
But the problem is, we won't have enough votes.
Nope, we're gonna lose.
Yeah, we won't have enough votes.
We'll probably get 3 or 4
Yeah.
at the most.
It's still in the record, though.
That's true.
Anyway,
We tried.
maybe they'll try to get him to behave better.
Yeah, I'll gladly do it. I don't care. The guy's
Well, that might
evil.
work.
That's not gonna happen, he's made it through a few administrations already.
Right.
So it won't work even till, he don't care.
You've gotta get him removed.
He doesn't care
He doesn't care.
about himself.
And his people that work under him either. Just a second, I'll get to it. So that's how the structure. Any question on the structure, how that works? Martin?
Question on the Board of Adjustment. I knew there were nominally supposed to be just regular civilians nominated and appointed to the board.
They all are.
They all are?
There's no board members on
I
it.
thought there were supposed to be at least several county board members on
No.
it.
It's a state statute defines exactly what it's supposed to be.
It does, okay.
I looked it up. So let's talk about the current zoning ordinance. So I did submit, so this is something you guys should know, okay? If there's something you guys want, you don't like in the county, and you want a resolution, so this is something I've read in our bylaws as a county board member. I can submit any resolution to any committee at any time, and they have to take it up on their agenda within two meetings, okay? So I've been submitting them like every meeting. I gotta hand them to Jim Nygaard and paper copy, and then he's gotta put them on these committee agendas. They go through committee. Once they get through committee, they go to the county board to get voted on and approved, okay? So one of the ordinances that I, amendment to the floodplain ordinance that I submitted was that if Norma would go and get an estimate from a contractor, a licensed contractor, the zoning department has to take that bid over any other bid. So if the county does their own assessment, they come up with a $10,000 value, and this contractor says, I can do it for $2,000, they have to take the contractor's bid. So that should be on the agenda on August 6th, and it should be retroactive, so hopefully that might help some of these folks a little bit. That's something that I did. I did look into our floodplain ordinance. It also says that this should be a per event. It shouldn't be a cumulative. So Jackie Beyer is looking into that as well, and I will comment on that during the meeting, because that's another nice thing that I can do. Even though if I'm not on the planning and zoning committee, I can talk at any portion of that committee meeting at any time I want. They have to recognize me. I can't debate them, but I can definitely make my points at that moment. So, resolutions. If you have a resolution that you see something you want changed, let us know. Let Darla know. Let your county board rep know. It's real easy now with ChatGPT to write resolutions. And it's going to drive corporate counsel nuts because they can write them in it writes it in 10 seconds. It's awesome. It's better than a lawyer, to be honest with you.
It is.
It's sweet. So another one I just got passed through committee. My first one is foreign governments cannot buy agricultural land in Waupaca County. Basically, it's a non-binding resolution, but it's basically saying Waupaca County does not stand for foreign governments buying our agricultural land. So that one got through Land and Water Committee, and hopefully it'll get through the legislative committee and onto the county board and get approved. So I know Darla submitted a couple too as well, but that is a huge power that we have. So there's 20 people being affected right now with the zoning, and it's just a shame. It really is. Go ahead.
Okay, I've been FEMA trained by the Red Cross. I did some FEMA things in Long Oklahoma when they had horrible flood and everything. Are all the homeowners getting copies of the FEMA assessment, what they found? Every homeowner should get a copy of, or is that what they have?
Oh yeah, zoning department's really good at that. Don't worry. They're. I mean, I'm sure they gave you the assessment, right? I'm sure you had the dollar amount, right?
From FEMA.
Well, it would come from the zoning department.
Well,
FEMA doesn't do it.
well, we send all the information to DC
I mean, maybe the county sends that over there, but. So do you guys know why this rule is in effect? Why we must abide by it, supposedly the county? Do you guys know? Yeah, do you guys know why? Because our county wouldn't qualify for flood insurance then, the subsidy for it. That's what they say. But I don't like a lot of rules. I mean, I like abiding by rules, don't get me wrong, but really? You're telling me if FEMA's gonna come in here and say our residents can't get flood insurance because there's one house that was supposed to be raised? You think they're actually gonna come in here and do that? No, they're not. They could care less, you know? And, but Ryan Brown, it's just like he's got his own agenda, boom, 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 and it's just a sad situation. Darla?
You say 20 people, it's actually 20 homes.
Yeah, 20 homes.
And when I say 20 homes we're talking, this is since April. People are not back in their homes that have kids. These kids need a stable environment, and it's not happening because planning and zoning, exactly like Joel said, is not doing what's best for the people. But other people, the city, I believe, and I don't know what Outagamie is doing, we're not doing what's best for the people. And that's wrong. These kids need to be back in their homes, and now it's been since April. I can't imagine the mold and everything that's growing around. But it's so wrong what Waupaca County zoning is doing. And thank you, Joel, for what you're doing. I believe there's a total of what? There's 27 supervisors, and I believe it's 27 committees.
Something like that.
23 or 27, I don't remember exactly, but it's all a bunch of BS. And it's deeper than what you think it is. We're doing what we can.
Just so I clarify, the
Yes.
county, okay, just so you understand, this is a jobs program. How many people work for the Waupaca County? Does anybody know? Give me a number.
1,200.
That's way high.
200.
Roughly 500 and some.
402, I think.
No, it's 470 full-time, and then there's a bunch of part-time people. It's over 500. So think about that. 500 people working in the county. For what?
And then they all get a retirement of 6.7, and then they get what's called longevity. They get like a little
Folks,
gift card at the
this
end.
is a jobs program. That's what the
Yeah.
county is. I'm telling you guys, it's a total jobs program. And some of you guys, some of the positions are very well warranted. Don't get me wrong. All the police officers, county highway. There's some really human services. There's some really good jobs. Don't get me wrong. It's not the people at all. I'm just saying that this is a jobs program. These department heads are making well over 6 figures.
Oh,
You know, well over 6 figures.
that we're
We're
paying
$1.2
for
million
jobs.
in the red right now, the county, going into next year's budget alone. This next budget. And we keep hiring more people. The last meeting, we hired another person. You guys just approved yesterday or today on.
No. That's got to go through a scope.
I understand, but it was approved for another position.
Correct. But you're right. You're absolutely right, Joe.
And it just goes on and on. Everybody at the meetings, you should come. All those in favor, aye, everybody raises their hand. So those reappointments, there's only 2 of us that voted against that. I'll give Darla a pass on this. It was myself
They changed the
and Barry
wording.
Bartz. Neither one of them should have been appointed to that Board of Adjustments. That was terrible.
But they were reappointed.
Well, it doesn't matter. They shouldn't have been on there. Because if Brian Brown called them, that's a
I agree.
conflict of interest. So, any other questions for me? So that's the state of the county board. But hey, positive news, guys. A year and a half is new elections, and we're going to get 10 more candidates
All
to
you
run.
guys, think about it.
If you guys, any of you guys want to run, let me know or let Darla know. We need someone to run at Fred Zog. We live in New London here, his
Yes.
district. Dave Morak, right down by Dairy Queen. He's another one. What is he? Where is he? He lives on the river. He's not even here fighting for anybody.
No.
It's they don't care about you guys. I'm telling you, they don't.
Well, there's only 20 people affected, so what?
No, it's 20 homes, correct?
Right, 20 homes.
But that's a lot.
There's a lot more
That's-
affected than
that's
that.
the
Correct,
problem,
it's
you know,
20 homes,
They don't wanna see
and these
that.
people have kids,
Yeah.
Dave Morak lives on the river.
Well,
I think he
I
would
mean,
care.
right next to the dairy.
But it can't, you don't need to be sold as 20 homes, but those are 20 incidences that can happen to all your neighbors.
Hey.
You know, so that's the way you
These
got
are
to tell them,
kids
like,
that need to
they
be
can
back
do
to
this to you if you let them do it to us.
You know?
This is one issue. What's going to be the next issue? You know? Can I give you guys another example? Last meeting from the county board, just a little bit of sidetrack. So there was a recycling ordinance, okay? They come and say, well, we need to update our recycling ordinance for the county, okay? And I read everything when I get it. So get this, I'm reading through this, and at the end, the changes they want to make, it says, any official from Waupaca County basically can come onto your property, dig through your garbage anytime they want. It said it right there. I brought it up, I made an amendment, and people they're questioning me. I'm like, it says it right here. And then all of a sudden, the recycling John gets up there. He says, well, no, that's not what it means. That means we can look at your garbage on the street. I said, yeah, you say that now, but 10 years from now, when the next guy's standing there, he might interpret that totally different than you. And I pulled my amendment because corporate counsel said they were going to clarify it, so it better be clarified.
You did ask for the language to be verified from council.
Yes, and she said she was going to clarify it. So
Joel's doing an awesome job.
it's just one thing after another, but this is the same kind of 50% rule. You know what I'm saying? So
With the courthouse remodeling, how much debt is the county in now? Do you know the total number?
the total number, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but that's we borrowed 40 million for that almost.
And they don't even
I
have
think it was
metal
30
detectors.
some million.
Do they, Joel?
We threw out furniture that was perfectly good, but we changed it metal detectors.
Oh yeah, that was another issue. We got this new courthouse, guys, and they're showing Meyer and Construction showing all the beautiful pictures. It looks great. We have the best looking courthouse in the state. This is great. And they had the front door, and I said, hey, are the metal detectors installed? Well, no, we're not putting any of those in. I'm not. Are you serious? You're telling me no one's happy going to the courthouse. You're either going to court, you're going to pay your taxes, or you're going to planning and zoning pissed off. I said, why don't we have any security in this place? You can walk right in there.
Right.
It's crazy, guys. I could go on and on, but thank you very much. Yes.
Joel, go ahead and stay up there and
What's
take
that?
questions.
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of.
With the rise of this has been a higher flood, so they're not looking at.
I don't believe so. No. Maybe down the road they might.
I was in the courthouse yesterday and they said that there was no intention of changing the setback or the floodplain elevations. They said it was a 400-year event and they did it in 2010 and they were planning on sticking with those elevations.
So this on a side note, I was down in Punta Gorda, Florida, 2 weeks ago, and just out of curiosity, I looked because that's where the hurricane hit. So I looked up their ordinance in regards to the 50% rule, and it clearly specified Punta Gorda County, whatever county, I think Charlotte, Brown County. Our rules are it's a per event basis. But our flood ordinance says per event in it, so that's why it's really conflicting to me right now. So I'm going to be at the Board of Adjustments meeting next week and the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting so I can raise hell. So that's what I like to do. I do. So town of Fremont and the village of Fremont are not part of county zoning. If you live in any county, any township, town of Makwa, tell your township to get the hell out of Waupaca County zoning. They can do it next year. They have to give them a notice in 2027, I think by April 30th. And if you do that, they can pull out with the next, they have to stay with another 2 years, then they're out. So I know Towney Union, I have land, I got a farm in Towney Union. I've contacted them. There's many townships looking at it. Talk to Al Tank. Tell him to pull out. I think he'd be very interested in doing it. But the only way we can do is if you guys contact these town chairmen. Go to the meeting and say, hey, we're sick of this crap. So.
I just wanted to,
Go ahead.
what Joel said, we need to think as people, who in your district could run against these people? 2-year terms, who would run against these people? Because it's worse than what you can imagine in Waupaca County.
I'm telling you, guys.
It's bad.
If we had like 6 more people, 6 to 7 more people,
they're all against
this county
us.
would be totally different because we'd be turning this whole thing around.
They're against us because anytime you say something, you call them out,
For that-
you're the bad person. And they don't want to deal with you. But there are too many yes men.
Just another issue. Have you guys noticed on the county highways, the county highway department's spraying the ditches now instead of mowing them?
Why?
So my neighbors go out and pick asparagus, and
Oh, no.
they call Casey, the
That's
county
not
highway
good.
commissioner, and goes, "Well, can we eat this asparagus?"
start stepping up, strength in numbers.
So you guys know how they take the land over, right? You guys know how it would happen? So, well, no, they won't do that, but what they'll do, kinda. What they'll do is they'll start sending her a bill,
Yes,
$2,500 a
yes,
day.
and they'll take it.
So eventually, and if you don't pay it,
They're gonna take your
they
land.
just take it. That's how it works.
They can buy it from you if they want it.
They won't, they'll just start finding you and they'll just take it.
No, certainly, when you talk about private property rights, obviously, when you think about socialism and central planning, we're familiar with eminent domain, and obviously there have been some decisions at the federal level that at least have been favorable on that score. But yeah, I mean, I think you do have, like I said, those that would like to, God bless you, remake, our communities in their image, whatever that is in their minds, and so yeah, I mean, basically, they see it as a way of
Control.
creating an incentive to
Control.
yeah, and to a certain extent, I mean, that can occur through property taxes and other things too that simply make it too expensive for somebody to hold on to a property that they've that they've had for however long, and feel that their pressure is that they have to sell it just to be able to survive. Yeah.
So, obviously it's a lofty goal, but there's, people like to knock California, but one thing they did in the 70s is there's a state statute that when you're a homeowner, when you purchase your home, your property taxes don't increase unless you go in for a major renovation permit or you sell your home. So from the time that you purchase it to the time that you die, if you don't ever sell it or don't ever put huge amounts of money into it, your tax base stays, other than their allowable, I think it's 3% every decade that they can do an increase. I feel like every time I turn around, my property's being reassessed here.
Right.
And that's
To pay for
that's
their
Proposition 13 that Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association put in '78.
Yeah, and I think there's obviously a lot of things you could get in. I mean, in some cases, I mean, there are some communities that I think have used TIF responsibly as it was intended, as a but-for, and a way to, make things, but there are plenty of others that are not closing profitable TIDs and using them to fund any number of speculative ones. I mean, there are all sorts of, communities that aren't following best practices and essentially putting it on your existing tax base as essentially a subsidy for, some chosen child. So, yeah, I mean, there's. Yes, go ahead.
I got a quick comment on taxes. So those of you that don't know this, Waupaca County takes your tax money and we give some to this organization called the Wisconsin Counties Association. Okay? So the Wisconsin Counties Association, they just released a statement at the end of May that they're going to lobby people like him to allow counties to raise the sales tax. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is we're taking your money to pay a lobbyist to raise your taxes. This is how stupid this county is and how stupid that county association is. This Wisconsin Counties Association, Darla can attest to this, they come to our meetings, this attorney, and they basically tell the supervisors how to run the county. You do it exactly while they say it. It's a corrupt organization, and if I ever became chair of this county, they would be gone. We'd pull our membership immediately. It's so corrupt.
But they all love him because he's a yes man, and he's very, they all love him on the county board.
When Joel was talking, I was just flashing to, I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people that the UW system has on payroll whose entire job is basically to lobby legislators for more tax dollars when their positions are paid for with our tax dollars.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
There's a whole lot of things like this.
Our money lobbying to raise our taxes more.
It's
I
insane.
put stipulation.
Quick question
Yes.
to the county homeowners
We should
in New
not
London.
pay taxes.
Did
Because
FEMA
that's where all the-
initiate all these, actions? Did FEMA go into every house and then turn it over to the county?
No, the county did.
County.
County
FEMA was
initiated
just kind of a tag
Like,
along?
like I said before, it's who's running the show.
Okay.
The village of Fremont's not doing what the county's doing, okay? This is a county problem. It's all interpretation of the law. The village of Fremont goes in, knocks on the door. Hey, what do you want to do with your property? You're in the flood zone. Do you want to raise it? Do you want to rebuild it? You know, do you want to move it? And they say, you know, the homeowner says, I don't want to rebuild it. Okay, no problem. We got to make sure your assessment's under 50%. Done deal. That's all that has to happen.
So Andre, you talk about like an image that a government puts out, like a local government. You can think of a city just south of here called Rosendale. What kind of businessman would want to build a factory in Rosendale? They're going to say no to that. These people look at counties and municipalities to see if they're favorable to build there and stuff. Our county population has dropped about 5,000 in about the last 7 years. There might be a reason for that. I used to tell people, Waupaca County was a good county to live in.
It's not.
My mind because of our board.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna recommend, I mean, I hear other county boards aren't very good either, but how can we say it's a good place to live when your county board is treating its own citizens this way? It's just the opposite.
Well, and this is just kind of
inviting people and businesses in and having a positive, that's what you were kind of talking about before. Yeah.
Well, and part of it is, you know, what is important to you as a community? So, I mean, again, there are some communities that prioritize the well-being of citizens. There are some communities that, you know, again, it might be, you know, I mean, we have the issue right now with data centers, right? There are some communities that are going to bend over backwards to, you know, to bring certain things to their community. That obviously, you know, I mean, but some people are going to have different thoughts on it. So, yeah, I mean, you know, when we talk about business environment, it shouldn't be about subsidies and everything else. It should be about getting government out of the way. It's about certainty. And so, I mean, one of the things that scares, you know, anybody off in terms of thinking about their long-term future, you know, in a community, whether they're a homeowner or a business owner, is, you know, what is going to be my ability to be able to carry on my way of life as I see fit in the future if things go in this direction. And that's, you know, that's the concern, is that if people, you know, see, hey, I'm next, yeah, they're going to be, like I said, that sometimes the people making the decisions are not the ones that have to live with, you know.
Yeah, it's very simple. So our county zoning, it's real simple. They're an enforcement department instead of a helping department. So instead of going to him, I know he owns a lot of businesses, they should be going to him and saying, hey, how can we help you grow? What can we do to make you fall within all the rules? You know, whatever we gotta do to make it work, right? No, they go around looking for violations so they can take people to court and spend our tax money to sue businesses like that for something they're just trying to better our community and create jobs. That's the difference. That's how our county zoning department is structured right now. Enforcement. That's all they look at. So I will be writing a resolution that talks about this, that they need to change their strategy and their strategic plan. So we'll see if that gets passed.
Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, that is an issue that we have where, I mean, it's one of the reasons why we used to have a State Department of Commerce, that we realized, you know, we were spending half of our time regulating businesses to death at the same time that we were supposed to be welcoming them. We weren't working with people on how to get there. We were basically treating anything they said that could be used against them. So I'm sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Okay. I want to go back to Ryan Brown and back to 2015 or 2016, right in through there, when he was new. He started on the wrong foot. I live out on Round Lake on the Chain Lakes. Wheelhouse, which I love, but still, they needed parking for their employees. So they managed to get a lot which had a house on it, on the corner. So not too far from me, but thank heavens, not quite so close. Their people get to walk about 2 blocks to get to the location. They bought a house and the lot that went with it. The zoning was not commercial. The zoning was individual family home. Well, our people tried to fight it. And like I say, Ryan Brown was new. We didn't manage to successfully fight it. So they're there, which doesn't seem to be a problem, but the precedent was set that this is no longer an area that is individual homes, not commercial. So it's been a while, and we haven't had any more of that, but we could. We could at any time. So I'm just saying that right from the beginning, when he came in, he was wrong, and we tried to fight him, and we were unsuccessful.
Well, that issue also cost the county taxpayers.
$75,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for your questions, everybody. Great to see everybody again.
Thank you very much. And everybody, I want to end on a positive note. Hey, elections in a year and a half, we're going to take this board back, and this is going to change. So you guys are all going to help us do it. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward. We're going to solve this problem, too, with the zoning. I'll be fighting for you guys next week again. And I'm sure Darla will show up as well. Did she be ready? No, here she is. So we're gonna fight for you guys, and hopefully we can talk some sense into Jim Knight here to get this changed. So, Emily, are you coming in?
James, can I just, a couple reminders of what you can do if you want to help fight this thing. First of all, the Brat Try Saturday, come by, Bri.